All right, so I've been making apps for quite a bit of time now. Let's check out some of your apps. So I put it on Twitter and I just told people, hey, I'm gonna check out your apps and give them a compliment sandwich. So I'm gonna tell you something good about it, something bad, and then go back to the good. So this is also a test. I recently got started with like a new streaming software. I'm starting to use Streamlabs, so you can kind of see how things are going here. I think it's looking kind of cool, kind of good, but this is where things should be starting here. So let's check out Alex Asher's app on TubeRunner. So let me see this. So first off, I don't live in London at all or anything like that. So what am I supposed to see here? Baker Street. If I go to Baker Street. Okay. All right, so after playing with the application for a little bit, first impressions. Okay, so I like how it just brings right into the application. You don't really have to worry about anything. I do like that it keeps your favorites up here at the top. That way you can just like any of the stations that you want, and it stays at the top. It updates automatically, so that's great. I might have actually made that like its own specific tab, but either way, I think if it brings the people what they want, that's great. Nearby stations and station map. These are great because, you use the location manager, you kind of see how far away things are, and you can see how fast you get to them. And so that is personally really great. I like how the station map is very thoroughly designed. One thing I noticed though is as soon as you load up the station map, it kind of brings you out to this full wide view. Whereas I would make it so it brings you into a certain radius, like a certain 10-mile radius or 20-mile radius. That way you can kind of see immediately all of these different aspects and different places nearby. And so that would be great if you could add something like that. I do like this line status. This is actually really detailed. It looks really nice. And you click on this, it kind of brings up a fun little animation, shows it. I would maybe make this opacity a little bit more or add some of that Gaussian blur to it, and that might add a little bit of something. One of the things that I would say you need to work on is your color scheming here. Colors is something that is just so hard to get right, and so I always go to coolors.co, and this is kind of a place where you can find different color schemes that work together. That way you can kind of see what colors work together and what don't. Highly recommend it if you're struggling with a color palette of sorts. Just go to this place, you start the generator, and then you can go in here and just press spacebar, and it'll show you some automatic stuff until you see something that you like. And you should be able to add more and more colors within these ranges as well. So if you need like a good gradient, you can get that in there as well. So highly recommend it that you go check that out. So if you were to organize these colors in some way, that would help a ton, I think. And one last thing, when it comes to ads, be careful about the ad provider. And also you can go into certain ad sources like AdMob or whatnot and actually put restrictions and filters on the ads that you present in your application. Like I showed before, there were some ads that I would just not like in there. But that is, again, I guess, a good incentive to get the remove advertisements. So I don't know, it's your choice. As for some other design patterns here, like the restore purchases, need some padding on the edges. I would also make maybe some of these a little bit wider, a little bit bigger, space them out a little bit more, and I think that would help it a lot. Another thing is at the bottom of the application for each of the tabs, you are using a 1x pixel density, which looks great on old iPhones, but on new iPhones, such as the iPhone 11 and whatnot, it looks very pixely. So that is just not good these days. And so you need to have like a 2x or 3x representation of each of the icons, and that'll help things that look a lot crisper and clearer and make the user interface a lot better. But other than that, it works well, works fluidly, and I think it's a nice application. So if I lived in London, I would definitely check it out, but I don't. So, but good job. Keep going. All right, so next up we have So let's go ahead and check that out. Oh, dang. It works on the iPad. I currently don't have my iPad hooked up. Maybe in a future episode. But this looks cool. Spaghettify. Check it out. It looks like one of those drawing applications where you can kind of just like scribble around and it makes cool designs and whatnot. So, neat. All right, so next up is Tic Tac Baby. So first off, I actually really like this design. It looks pretty simple. Looks, Looks pretty good. All right, so most of this application, I don't really understand the whole logistics behind having a baby or anything like that at the moment. But first off, you get into the application. It's pretty simple. It's like a time tracking application for your baby. And so that's just how things work. And so you keep track how much the baby was fed and what he was fed and whatnot. And then here you can keep track of the dirty diaper, wet diaper, and all that jazz as well. And then how long the baby slept, and then how much breast milk that you are gathering. So first off, I actually really like the design of this whole application. You just kind of get right in there. You don't have to sign up. There's no payment blocks or anything like that. You just kind of get going. So that is pretty great. One critique that I do have about it all is this finish button right here is a little bit too small. So when I was first looking into the application, I was like clicking the buttons, starting timers and whatnot, but I wasn't seeing anything being done with the application other than the timer. And so I was like, well, what do I do? And then I just saw that tiny little finish button. So I'd make that a little bit bigger, make it call out a little bit more, and I think that would help out a lot with clarity. Another thing is, a settings icon, it works, but maybe you want something a little bit more personable for your baby, like have it so it's like a mom cradling the baby, kind of like how you have here, but as like or like a baby photo or something. But I do like that you can keep it personal. You can say, my baby is Jared, when's his birthday, keep track of his weight and all that kind of jazz. And I really like that. It's pretty neat. Oh wait, there you go. And why don't you show the baby icon there first? I really like this timeline as well. You can kind of see what happened today or throughout this week, how many bottles, how many diaper changes and all that jazz was happening. And so that's really neat. And also I'd say for the iPhone X, you can kind of see that it has a blue border up on the bottom here and also a weird border on the top. So I would make sure that like the edges extend all the way to the end, and that would help out quite a bit as well. Another thing I'd add is maybe some more animations and stuff to make the application just a little bit more like, wow, add a little bit of wow factor to the application. I think that'd be great. Other than that, good application. Let's on to the next one. Oh, and it was one inspired by his son and wife. So congratulations on the baby if you do have a baby, or if he's all grown up, I don't know, but congratulations. All right, next application that we're going to look at is by Clayton Lohman. It's called Weather Against Humans. And so it's kind of like a Cards Against Humanity type of application. Personally, I'm not one who likes a lot of swearing and stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, okay, freedom units, I care about it, kind of. Okay, so let's select Fahrenheit or Celsius. Let's select Fahrenheit. Let's enable location services, and then we need to calibrate how hot things are. So I lived in Brazil for quite a while, so I can stand the heat. So I'd say like 96-ish is pretty good. Then if we say next, then what is extremely cold? To me, extremely cold is around like 20 degrees. And so let's go ahead and check that out. And there you go, Cards Against Humanity. So let's go ahead and switch the content rating here to PG-13. I appreciate that more, but that is just my taste. Okay, so if you want to, you can change it to different content ratings and whatnot. Let's see, we have preferred temperature units. You can do the freedom one or the correct one. I don't appreciate that because obviously the correct one is Fahrenheit, but whatever. Okay, if you want to report an issue, that's great there. And then if you want to see this is powered by Dark Sky, so that is one of my favorite weather applications out there, and they provide really awesome data. And so that's awesome that you use that, honestly. Great. Wow, what a great app. So first off, before I get into any critiques about this application, I really love the design. I think it looks nice. I think it's honestly, it has an aesthetic to it, so I like it. It's very simple. I would say maybe something weird here is this background here is gray, whereas this is white, but that's just a personal preference, I think. Yeah, like this version is a little lighter than this, and so I would kind of make it so these are the same on the edges or not. I don't know. It's up to you. Like showing that this in the middle is still like the main portion of the application, and showing that off to the sides is different things. But you can kind of see that the grays are not the same at all. So I would make sure that you get your colors perfect. Another thing I would love to see is this is kind of like a Cards Against Humanity type of application. And so from there, I would love to see other different things that describe the weather that I'm having at the moment. And so right now I only get like one message, and that's pretty great. But I do like variety. I like just opening up the application, maybe staring at all the funny messages that go along with the application would be something kind of cool. Other than that, not too many complaints. It's a good looking weather application. I would add a widget. I did look and see if there was a widget for this application, and there is not. So I would love to see like maybe a card widget of some sort that just shows me how cold it is outside or something, you know. That could be a good thing to add so that I don't have to open up the application. More and more, I am using widgets to handle like all of the weather stuff, all of my daily tasks and stuff like that. So it could be useful there. Other than that, great application. Keep it up. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, this next one is by, I'm going to botch his name here, 1 second. It's by Krishnil Bojani. Sorry if I got that wrong. Okay, so first off, we need to allow access. Let's see. Okay, so if we go here, we can see the different categories. That's really neat. And I like the haptic feedback. The haptic feedback is perfect there. Okay, so let's say I want to check out this photo. What can I do with it? I can crop it. I can filter it. So there's different types of filters that go along with the application, it looks. Okay. Ooh, it's kind of neat. I like this one. Now my question is, where are these filters coming from? Are they from your database, or are they coming from, you know, like the kind of built-in ones? I would love to know about that. Maybe that's in the settings. I should check. You have the different filters. You have adjust, so you can adjust like the brightness, the contrast. It's pretty neat. Saturation, hue, vibrance, sharpness. Let me see. Art. What is this about? Oh my goodness. That is amazing. It turns my photo into a certain art project. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. If we go into the settings, suggest a new art style. Okay, so first off, I think your application, it works well. It functions the way it should. You have the different categories and all that works as good as it should. I would say one thing is to make it more present what this app is about. If you want it to be like this different filter and adjust and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But I would, like, if you want it to be about this art thing, use this art thing like as the forefront of the application, showing what it can do. Like, point that out just a little bit more, because it was kind of hidden. It's in the bottom right hand corner, you know, and you kind of just, like, oh, okay, what is that? Because the crop, the filter, and adjust, you know, you can kind of find that inside of the Photos application. But if you want the art, or if you want like these other cool aspects to the application, you should point that out a little bit more. So personally, that would be my number one critique about the application. But other than that, I think it's a wonderful application. It works well. And it does what it should. So good job. Okay, so let me see about this. So if I were to click on this, I say good, and then I download it. Does that mean there is a watermark now? Oh, I see. So yeah, when you edit a photo and then you download it, and I think that goes for any type of edit, it automatically saves it with a watermark. I would make it so that anytime you edit with the certain art style or the certain whatnot, that would encourage people to maybe upgrade to a premium version. I don't know about a subscription for this type of application, but I mean, I guess it's like affinity and whatnot, whatever. So yeah, my number one critique would be to make that art thing a little bit more present, to show a little bit better. I know you probably see that inside of the App Store itself when you're looking at the application. But yeah, when you first open the application, it kind of looks like a generic photo filter thing. And so I would try to make something that pops out to people, like showing them what makes this app better than the stock Photos application that comes with the iPhone, that people don't have to pay, you know, that $2 a month or $20 a year for. And so that's something to keep in mind. You want to really sell to people why this thing is necessary in their lives. And so I do like that you let people use this application and are not annoying with the premium version. So keep that up, because if people like the application, they will be encouraged, like they will actually want to buy the premium version. And so yeah, keep that up. One thing about subscriptions, I mean, I think personally for myself, I get turned off by subscriptions, whereas if it was maybe like a $15, $20 one-time thing, I would be more inclined to do that. But that's just me personally, but I don't know how other people feel about that as well. So if I want to get a premium version of an application that does cool art or something like that, I will pay $15, $20 if it means that I can use the application in a cool way. So I don't know, try different like payment methods and see what works for you. If this is working for you, good on you. Next up is a longtime fan, Dan XNU. I love this man. He's been around for a while. Okay, so he has basically a home inventory plus. Okay, so you keep track of all of the stuff inside of your house. First off, you stick with kind of the stock look of Apple, which personally I'm a fan of. And so I actually like that you do it. So let's go ahead and see. Jared, description, for one. And then we add a certain tint color. I really like this color picker that Apple added in here. I think it's a super nice thing. So now that we add that in there, we should be able to create subfolders, create a new item. Okay. And then it keeps a price for that item and everything like that. You can write additional notes about the item here. You can add an image about the item. And so this is a great application if you want to keep track of all of the stuff that's inside of your house, or for like home insurance, if your house ever burns down or something like that. You never know with California, right? So that's important to keep track of all the stuff in your side of your house. So here you have different categories as well. I would probably try to add some categories that like already exist and allow people to add new ones or custom ones. So maybe go ahead and add some like base categories to start with. So that helps people a little bit to get started. And that's just a good recommendation kind of thing. If we have any items, we can go ahead and search for it. And then what does the Pro version offer? Let me check this out. I do like that you add different value options here. So if people are willing to pay $2 or $5, something that's really important to them or not, that's a great way to handle that, because I find that incentivizes more people to be like, okay, yeah, maybe I can do $3 or $4 or whatnot, and it raises it up maybe $1. But overall, I think it's a great way to do things. So it allows you to add an unlimited number of items, so that's great. You do have like a barrier, so that people can, they can add what they want, get used to the application. And then if they want to keep going with the application, then they can buy it for $1 or $2. And it's not a subscription, which I appreciate as well. Because if it's like a home inventory thing, you don't want to just have a constant subscription, because, maybe your house burns down in like 2 years from now or something like that, and you're just paying a subscription the entire time. That would be horrible. So the good on you for that. This is how I always test. I just put my name in. I don't know. Maybe I'm self-centered or something, but once we created a new item, let's see if the search there. Okay, we can see the items there. Let's search for Jared. And it filters it out right there. One thing that I would try to maybe add in there that would just make things a little bit simpler is, instead of bringing up the search tab like this, I would maybe try and just have a search bar up at the top. I doubt tons of people are going to have different categories and stuff. Maybe you can have it so that there's a search bar at the top, and if people want to put in further details, then they can click on like a little cog at the top right hand corner, and that would allow people to kind of like filter in more. But I think a normal search bar at the top would allow things to be a little bit quicker to search for things, and I think people would appreciate that. Other than that, you have a very basic design. Overall, it looks really good. I would work on a logo. That would be my number one design critique overall, because one of the things that I just don't like about this logo is the sides of the home touch the edges. Whereas you want a little bit of padding. If you added even just like 10 pixels of padding, it would make it 1,000 times better, honestly. And if you want to keep the logo the same, that's great. One thing, if you want to go like the extra mile, try and make it so people can change the icon of the application. That way it fits their home screen aesthetic these days. Overall, great application. I think it has a lot of potential if you keep going forward with this and keep going. All right, so next application is Dave Jacobson. Let's see. Oh, this is Haptic Haven. I wanted to see what this was all about. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit hard to show on camera, I'll say that. So first off, I actually really like the design of this application. It's a skeuomorphic design. I know some people don't like it, other people do, but personally, I really like it. One thing that I would add is maybe a little bit of padding in between the objects inside of the button. as that would just add a little bit more depth to it rather than it being all kind of squished together. Or maybe that's the skeuomorphism that kind of adds that squished together feel. Not too sure. But either way, I think I would add a little bit of padding. Especially with the medium impact, the text is almost touching the right there. So that's something to keep in mind. It's great for iOS developers because we love that haptic feedback inside our application. And when you click on one of these, it'll give you more information and show you exactly how to generate this inside of your application as well. And so that's pretty sweet. Let's see, if you hit share, it's actually going to give you the code, so that way you can just copy it and paste it into your application. That's a great addition. That is what I thought exactly it would do. We have different themes. Let me see. So we have the light theme and the dark theme. Okay. Interesting. This might be just a personal take on this, but I think if you went a little bit darker on the dark theme, I think it would look a little bit better. Let me see. Alternate app icons. See, this is what I was talking about with the last application. Alternate app icons are awesome because personally I think a black and white version of this icon would look great. Let me see. I changed it, but it didn't change on the home screen, so you might want to look into that. And then if haptics aren't working, you show people how they work and how to get them working. Cool. Other than like, some design things that, are very personal, I think this application works great. It's a very simple application, and I will definitely actually be using this because we're trying to get some haptic feedback inside of our application. So this is a good reference point for that. So keep going. Love it. So next up is ColdGrub. Let me just open this up. This is a Python programming application. Personally, I don't think I will be able to review this correctly. Because I don't program in Python, but let me go ahead and download this and let's just check out how well the app works. This must be a pretty big application. It's taking a while to download. So let's go ahead and check out another person's application while that is downloading. So these are two applications done by Benoit. I don't know how to say that name, but it's by Setlist. So I don't understand what this application is all about, honestly, but let me see. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it kind of shows what was performed at a specific concert. And so if you go into the different concerts here, ooh, I like that springiness. I would say one thing to add here is as it like kind of hits the bottom here, it kind of like has this really jumpy feel to it. So I would try and work on that a little bit more. But overall, I really like how this it gradually comes in. It's neat. And then when you click on this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, is having this nice blur effect on the background. This makes it so the background is very unclear and you can see the foreground really nicely. And I like how that fades in. I think that's a very nice design. And so if I were to, let me see something. So one of my favorite artists is Imagine Dragons, let's say. So let's add Imagine Dragons. Okay, so if I click on them, they played this at an unknown venue. I should be able to create a playlist, and then I connect it to my Apple Music account, which is currently what I use. I can't tell if it's doing anything, so I think it's connected. Will be available in a few minutes on Apple Music. So let me see. I should go to my library, my playlist, and there you go. So you have the playlist there. There's no music in this playlist at the moment. Oh, it's because the music isn't available. So I'm not too sure how the API for Setlist works, but I feel like I should be able to create a playlist with all of this music that they are performing. So I'm not really understanding that to its fullest extent. But it did seem to work better with U2, so let me just go ahead and try doing that. So if I were to take this and I say create a playlist, connect it to Apple Music, it will then get all of this stuff. And it's loading all of the different information about it. And then I export that playlist. I should be able to see that playlist on Apple Music. Yep, there we go. And then I can just start playing it from there. That's a very simple way to create playlists. So yeah, overall I've been trying to just understand this application for a little bit and understand what Setlist is. And so basically if I wanted to, I just search for an artist, I create a playlist off of whatever venue he was last playing at, and I can basically experience what a live show for these different bands would be like. So I think that's actually a really cool application and a great way to get it going instead of inside of Apple Music. So that's cool. And I think that's why it gets such good praise from people. It works well, and overall, there's really no complaints. I would say one thing is for people that have seen this application or that know about Setlist, it all makes sense to them. But for myself, I don't know anything about Setlist. So I would try to maybe add a little bit like a little info button or something, a little guidance to get started or explanation of what all of this is about. Otherwise, I think this application is pretty great. I like the overall design of it, and I think it runs pretty smoothly overall. So great work, and keep going. Okay, so we should have that Python application here. I have heard about this application before by other people. So let's go ahead and begin a free trial here. So that worked perfectly. Everything works great. Okay, so after getting a feel for this application, I really like the design of this, honestly. I think it fits like the coding community pretty well because you can just jump through. It's pretty fast to just kind of get started with things. I got it in an instant, so I think you're targeting the design and everything to the right people, and so that's great. I would say one of the things that I can kind of see here is this button right here. I don't know what it does. Like I hit search, and then I just type in something. I was thinking I was searching the document, but in the end it does nothing for me. So I don't know what that's all about. So I would try and look into that a little bit more. But overall, the run button, everything seems to work how it should. If we see any bugs, I think that's what that meant, bugs. It'll show it there. Then we have different projects. We can open a project. Like if we had a Python project going on, we can import them. That's pretty neat. Go ahead and, read up on it. I can see some of these different examples on here. Personally, I'm not one that would be like coding or anything like that on my iPhone. But I think for people that are into Python, I think this is a really cool application. So good job there. I really like it. I don't know how much work this would take, honestly, to create like an emulator for this, but I think this is pretty neat overall. Good stuff. Okay, another application really quick by Benoit is this Christmas application. I had to do it because, it's just so far away. 5-star rating. Good job. I do like that you prompt people to give it 5 stars like at the start, because personally I just kind of do give it 5 stars to get rid of it. And so I feel like a lot of people would actually do that they just give it 5 stars, okay, whatever, and then just put it there. And so I think a lot of like fake ratings could come through that method. So keep that in mind if you are making an application. I do that all the time. I don't know if you guys do that. But overall, yes, we have 322 days before Christmas, baby. So if you disable the snow, and then I also know this has a widget, so of course I have to try that out. So we can see that one widget there. I would try and make it so you have different sizes of widgets. But there you go. 322 days. Countdown to Christmas. I love it. All right, so another application. I'm not too sure who it's done by. It's called Balloon. So let me go ahead and check this out. First off, I love this onboarding. Very simple, very clean. Kind of gives that like Airbnb feel, which I personally really love their aesthetic. Let me see. So you have to sign up before you get started. This is one thing that I've been critiquing a lot, and actually been starting a lot in my own applications, is making sure that when people download the application, I don't know if you're using Firebase for this or not, but create an anonymous user for this person beforehand, as that way they can kind of just start using the application, and then later on, if they are so inclined to keep using the application, then they can sign up and create an account. That way it just kind of gets people going. So if we sign up, let's see, different categories. Let's say I love food, adventure, the warm, the sea, peaceful. That's good. I am of U.S. nationality, but I have been to Brazil. And then we continue with Apple. Okay, good stuff. Okay, so I want to travel to, or I've traveled to Brazil, right? Okay, so I add that in there. Describe the country in 5 clicks minimum. It's very hot. It's very hot in Brazil, at least where I was. The families there are awesome. It's not very peaceful, honestly, because there's a lot of crime there. It's definitely not cold. I would say it's a little bit artsy because there's tons of graffiti everywhere, at least where I was. The sea is amazing there, and it's very adventurous. All right, let's add the country. Like that loading logo. That's really nice. That's awesome. Oh, I see. So I visited 1% of the world. I visited 8% of South America, 4% of North America, and I still have a lot to go on other parts of the world. I do plan on traveling to Europe this year, so that's really neat. Travel responsibly. Destinations, ooh, neat. Oh, and then I need to get... Oh, and cool. Okay, so it's not a subscription, but you buy it once and forever. That's really neat. I like that. Let's see this. Okay, so you can read about the country. You can see who else has visited there, and you can probably go into this person's page, see how many countries he's visited, so you guys can compare. That's really neat. One thing that would be kind of cool, maybe a little bit annoying, but kind of cool, is like being able to chat with the person and asking them how was their stay in Brazil or something like that. Ask for any tips or tricks. I think that would be an extra element of coolness. I don't know if that's in Balloon Air or in the Balloon Plus. Might be. I didn't read, so let me check that later. I do like that it has basic information. It kind of reminds me of the what is the website? This app kind of reminds me about nomadlist.com, which kind of has this exact same kind of stuff to it. I do like how they have all this information, but that can be a little bit daunting to me, honestly. But overall, let me look back at the application here. You can kind of get a really nice, clear view of the spoken language, what kind of money you would need to transfer into. You can see emergency numbers if something does happen. You have the national anthem. Can I actually load this? That's really cool. I like how you can see that. Something also cool to add in there might be like the lyrics of the national anthem. Something to think about. And then I like how you have the situation for the coronavirus, because that is something that I really think about lately in terms of like traveling to Europe and stuff like that. I really want to know like how bad it is and if I can travel there. So that would be another thing, is like you have this information about the situation COVID, but maybe you should have like, are there any travel restrictions as of now? Because currently I don't see anything about that. So something to keep in mind. Risk level, I do like how you have that. It's a very unrisky place to travel to. Okay, so let me see. What is in Balloon Plus? So we can unlimited suggested destinations, exclusive travel and countries information, and then add more than 30 countries. Very neat overall. And oh wow, that's cool. You have like a ranking system. So Jean-Pierre is number 1. He's been to 120 different countries. That's just amazing. Holy cow. I really like the design about this. It has very much of an Airbnb type of feel to it. Now I know this isn't like part of the application, but something that would be really cool to look into is doing kind of like an Airbnb type of thing where you can search how much travel costs would be. One app that reminds me of this would be like Hopper. If you could kind of like see if you can integrate Hopper or something, a different API in some way to just get like travel costs, I think that would be really neat as well. Overall, no complaints at all about this application, really. I really like the design about this, and if I made this, I would be incredibly proud. So good stuff. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I've been recording for the last like hour and 15 minutes, just looking at applications all day. So if you did enjoy this, be sure to comment because I don't really care about likes. I enjoy comments more from people. So let's go ahead and try to rebuild this community up a little bit more. Go download these applications that I featured today. They will all be linked in the description down below. And if you want me to continue this series or anything like that, just let me know. Anyway, have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.